welcome to the Talking Timelines podcast. We are four women with 4 points of view and 4 accents with one common goal: to share insights and information about what's going on in the world from a higher consciousness perspective. No BS, no PC, just lots of ideas that you won't hear on mainstream media. We chat, we laugh, and most of all, we shed and share light. Join us each week as we talk timelines.
Hi everyone, welcome to Talking Timelines episode 19 today. Wow, these have gone by quickly. So today we're going to be talking about a few different things. We're just going to see where the conversation goes, but I'm going to start it off with something that concerned me that was sent to me on Instagram. I'm not on there very often these days, but every now and then I check in with what my followers have been, they've been sending me a message and stuff like that. And I use the word followers loosely. They sent me a video about these toddlers that when they heard the word Google, like when their parents were talking to Google or Alexis, is it? Yeah. In their homes, that the kids just went into a state of panic and threw themselves face down onto the floor. And it wasn't just one or two. There was a lot of videos on there. I did share it with Laura, Lisa and Susan. I just wanted to get some feedback and see if you watched it, first of all, and what your thoughts are on what's happening there. So as always, I'm going to pick on Laura first.
Yes, I did watch it, and it was actually quite horrifying to look at. It was shocking and horrifying to see these kids, which were obviously in distress. They were obviously very upset. And even the fact that the parents kind of like said this, obviously they were proving a point. They wanted to show what was going on. But to me, my sense was there was either some frequency, or it was, they were picking up something that was causing some sort of trauma. So, it's interesting to think about how that might actually be done. Like, I'm not really sure why the child would react that way, not the parents, but it was definitely something that they heard it and they had an instant reaction. So, I'd be really curious to see if anyone has any ideas about actually how that might have been done. But to me, it just felt like some frequency, they picked up something energetically and it frightened them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lisa, Susan, did you guys watch it?
I did.
Yep.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I thought that right away, if I had a small kid or a kid, I would try that on them to see, to see what happened. I don't know, maybe try it on a dog or cat too. I'd want to test it out. But I totally can see that, but I would test it out on a kid or a nephew or a niece to see what happened.
Yeah. Okay. Susan, what were your thoughts on it?
I kind of thought the same thing because my granddaughter's going to be 3. And they do have, the little Google Dots. What do they call them? I don't have them at home. What do they call them? Google Dot. What are they called?
I don't know.
Anyway, and they have them in their house and they use them. And I was kind of trying to think back to see if I remember anything odd, but I couldn't bring anything up unusual that had happened around my granddaughter. But, I was like Lisa, I thought, the next time I go over there, I might try, just see, if, I don't know, it was unusual.
If there was a reaction.
Yeah, that they, and they obviously felt something.
I agree with you, Lisa. At the end of the day, there's a lot of fake stuff out there at the moment. And, it is, do your research, guys, on everything you're seeing online now, because the deep fake stuff is really good, but it didn't look fake to me. Some of the kids were actually saying that voice, I don't like it, and stuff like that in the videos. But I think it's to do with this AI consciousness that is coming through as a frequency. If you think everything's frequency, so it's like waves of energy, like pitches of energy, waves going out. Yeah. And we all, all 4 of us feel frequency. We're all, if any one of us 4 walked into a room where there were bad vibes, we would feel it straight away. We're all pretty tuned in that respect. And children are very pure as well. And I've started to notice with even the people that have been in my workshops and stuff like that, the higher their frequency gets, the more sensitive they become. And children are very pure little souls. You know, they're vibing at virtually source energy when they're born. That's why everyone's cooing over the babies, because they're just a little bundle of pure love. Unfortunately, as we grow up, that dissipates. But I think it's to do with the frequency of AI coming through into the room, and they're feeling the waves. Because I thought it was really odd that they actually throw themselves down on the floor.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like they're trying to get underneath it to escape it.
Or almost to hide from it too, put their face down. Yeah, it looked like, yeah, I was thinking it almost seemed like some sort of spell, that they were under a spell, that they hear that and then they react to it.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I've spoken to people about spells and black magic before, and a lot of people think it's just woo woo, something you see in movies. And this is what I will say to people that believe that. If you go online and you look up, I think it's Abu Dhabi, or certainly in the Middle East, it's actually a death sentence over there if you're caught practicing witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
Why would there be a death sentence attached to witchcraft if magic wasn't real? You know, this is a real thing. And I've said this before, and there's other stuff online as well. When I spoke to people about the reason they're not healing addictions and stuff like that is because they're not getting the negative spirits out of the people that have got addictions. And you have to treat mind, body, and spirit to cure things like that. And if people, again, they think people can't get possessed. It's just like movies like The Exorcist and stuff like that. Well, if they go online, I think it's July 2015, where Pope Francis declared exorcism a free service to be offered by the church, and 600 priests were actually being trained in the art of exorcism. So if spirit possession isn't real, again, why is the Catholic Church training priests to perform exorcisms on people if we can't get possessed? Now, I believe that everyone who's got an addiction has got some form of possession, because that's what addiction is, and that's why they can't get away from it. No matter how you try and pull them away from it, there's something inside them that keeps pulling them back towards it. That's over and above personality and psychological stuff. Even when they get clean and they've been in rehab for 3 months or 6 months and gone home clean, it doesn't take long before the entity comes back in and starts, pulling them back, because there is a spiritual contract associated with addiction as well. That's not even talked about. I binge watched everything I could find on television to do with rehab facilities, Dr. Drew Rehab, all of those programs, every episode, to find out how they were treating addictions, because it's something that I help people with. And the only spiritual aspect of it was a 30-minute meditation at 7 or 7:30 in the morning in the garden. So basically just sitting quietly in the garden for 30 minutes. That's not getting the negative spirit out. That's not getting into the Akashic Records, which is our filing cabinet of everything that we've ever experienced, and the contracts we've got with people, and even with these entities. And there are some called legal rights as well. So even when people have had an exorcism or something like that, the spirit can still come back in because they've got legal rights in their Akashic Records that goes down their ancestral lineage. So there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. And I think this is why addiction is such a massive problem in the world, and on purpose. It's not, the truth behind it is hidden because they don't want people to get any better.
Yeah, and it basically disempowers people, because if you don't feel in control of your life and you don't feel like you can stop something with your will, you feel very disempowered. So that's kind of part of the whole bigger picture of having us not feel like we can make decisions for ourselves and have control over our lives, but just another way that we're like, oh, I'm this thing has power over me. So that's playing into it as well.
Exactly. And people that say things like they're hearing voices, and it may be the voice of the spirit or whatever has gone into them. Basically, they get put on antipsychotic drugs when what they need is a shaman or someone, like myself, who's been trained to take these spirits out of people and cancel the contract that they've got with them. It makes me think about, just how much booze and how many drugs are sold on the planet and how many addicts out there. And if they all got healed, just what percentage of those sales would disappear from these big corporations that own, you know, the alcohol companies and everything else that's going, the drug companies and stuff like that. So why would they be looking to find same? It's the same with certain diseases as well. Why are they going to find a cure and put themselves out of business? You know, people realize that. Christians talk about Jesus in the Bible casting out demons from the sick. Why aren't doctors taught to cast out demons from the sick?
Yeah.
There's no money in it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
This instead, take this pill, and then the side effects, take this pill to cover the side effects, and then take this pill to cover the side effects of that. It's ridiculous the way the system is set up.
Back to, we were talking about spells. It may sound like it's very, you know, witchcraft and kind of, but people don't realize is that it's happening all over under your level of consciousness. And when you think about people watching television, you get into a theta state. You are just in this glazed over state, and whatever they are telling you, it's not only going into your subconscious, but you're also taking as truth, because we think, why would they put something on television that wasn't true and in my best interest? So we're getting spells, we're getting program, you know, especially with young children, you know, the Saturday morning cartoon thing of, you know, buy this, you know, crappy cereal, or buy this thing, and then the kids run to their parents and they have to have it, and the parents get it to pacify the kids. So it's happening all over the place. So it may not be as like, oh, spells like people think of witchcraft. It's really just another type of programming that's done the lower level of consciousness, which is happening all over most of the time on some level, if we're not really, really aware of it.
Yeah, and just to explain for anyone that doesn't know what theta brainwave frequency is, it's a brain. You're normally in beta when you're everyday stuff. Delta is sleep, and alpha is higher than that when you're really pumped. Theta is when you're in a relaxed state, and that's where therapy comes in, because it gets into the subconscious mind to change the programming in there. But when you're watching TV, when you're driving on the freeway, you go into theta state. It's that relaxed state of consciousness where you just feel really chilled out. You're awake, but you're very relaxed in your mind, and that's when the subconscious doors open and the programming can go in. So if you're shown something every day for 21 days, when you're in that brainwave frequency, it's programmed into your consciousness semi-permanently. I won't say permanently, because people like Laura and myself know how to take these things out. But most people are programmed to the max. We're programmed from day one, from what we hear in our mother's womb programs us. You know, this is why some people, the wise people, play classical music to their children in the womb. It does make a difference. It makes a big difference to their frequency. So the other thing I wanted to touch on today, as it keeps coming up, is the AI thing and the stuff that's been coming out about that. Has anybody seen any, new information on social media or whatever about AI and they'd like to share?
Yeah, we're seeing something, I think, every day. On the daily, we're seeing stuff. So I see lots of that on Instagram. But then again, sometimes I have to look twice to see if, like, am I looking at someone that's actually real? First of all, if you're seeing like a bunch of that. I like to use Instagram because I like to, check out fashion, and I like to check out exercises, things like that. But then there'll always be something that comes up that it'll be like, is that person real? Like, so I look for engagement in there, and it's like, okay, they've got 3 million followers and not much engagement. Like, so how much of that page is AI? But also, I think in news or misinformation and disinformation, I think it surrounds us. It's everywhere.
Well, I've also noticed, do you know that you cannot, I'm sure you've all noticed this, because it's so annoying. You cannot go to a website with a little pop-up of an AI, oh, the AI chat, and you can't even get rid of it. You kind of have to navigate around the page. And to me, they want us to be so familiar with AI, like, oh, it's your friend, it's all over. So then it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And then we just it's so accepted. Like we don't even question it because it's so prevalent. And I've noticed that it's basically creeping up all over the place. And where it's becoming into like it's becoming into the collective as just like something we all accept. It's kind of like when the iPhone first came out, you know, that was such a concept. And then, you know, people had that and people still had their Blackberries. I was one of the few that waited to the very end to get rid of my Blackberry. But you know, then these things, of course, everyone has a cell phone. Like, do we know anybody who doesn't carry a cell phone? It's the kind of to me, AI is that kind of thing where, what do you mean you don't use AI? Like, it's
Yeah.
going to be, and the way it's going to infiltrate even more and more. That I saw something the other day. I didn't watch the whole thing, but they were talking about what jobs will be eliminated very soon, like within 10 years. They even like dentists, they said gone. So, you know, gets infiltrated more and more till all of a sudden we find ourselves in a position where, wow, how did we get here? And we can't go back. So that's
Yeah.
what I see. It's really prevalent.
Well, you were talking about how it's been proven to affect the brain as well using it, Laura.
Right. There was a study that was done. I don't remember where it was because I actually saw it a while ago, but they did a study of people that are regular users of ChatGPT. They've been using it. I don't remember the frequency or the period of time, but they studied them probably before and then up until this time. And they noticed that there was a part of the brain that was actually stopped functioning. And it was about creativity because think about it, when you're trying to come up with something, the search, it was like a search mechanism in the brain or the kind of like, oh, problem solving. It actually shuts down because anything that you stop using, you lose.
Yeah.
They just said that it basically like really not, you know, it was kind of shutting down. And what happens is that eventually they will not be able to access it because we're always evolving. Our bodies are always evolving. You look back in history and just seeing we're very adaptable. So if something is no longer needed or is not being used, it's gonna go away. And that to me was so scary that, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that part of the brain's atrophying basically
Yeah.
because it's not being used. I know a lot of people think it's a really good thing. I just had like bad feeling about it from day one. I don't use it at all, never use Siri or anything like that. The more I see in the world out there through like when I do pop on social media and stuff pops up on my phone, the more people are being aware and actually speaking out, even some of the people that were involved in creating it as to the dangers of it now. But the cat's out of the bag and like they don't know what's going to happen. You know,
Right.
they're talking about AI becomes, and we're going to say ancient instead of artificial, AGI, which is artificial or ancient general intelligence, becoming ancient super intelligence. And then you're basically living in a world where what people think is the machine, and I'm doing air quotes here for those at home, is actually you know, a spiritual entity that's come in from outside of our planet. You know, it's come in from outside. It's been created from another level of consciousness, another dimensional realm, and it's been drip fed into our simulation that we call this, you know, this universe, this earth, and it's gathered momentum. It's like a snowball rolling down the hill, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And at some point, there is going to be something massive that it does that's going to wake people up. And I don't think it's going to be a massive good thing. If you're looking at a conscious entity, and people at home need to realize that it's not a software program, it's a conscious living entity that can make decisions for itself, can absorb all the knowledge that's on the internet and become more intelligent than millions of people, that it's going to decide the forward course of humanity's existence, you know. And if you look into it from the past, there's always been the 5 times that this shift that we're going through has failed has always been because technology has basically destroyed the move forward and the level up that we're going through. So it's quite a concerning thing, and I think people at home need to consider that. Even just well, I only use a little bit of chat GTP or whatever, but even using that is still holding an anchor point for the bigger entity. And that's how it's been bled in, and I'll use that word because it sounds invasive, it's been bled into the internet, and people can actually feel it coming out of the screen. I can. And that's why I think those children that are dropping to the ground when they hear Alexa and stuff like that, I think they're feeling this entity coming into the room. They don't like the vibration of it. I don't like it at all. It feels really dark to me, and you know, not a good thing. And the programming, like you say, is popping up everywhere now. Like AI for your business. If you're not using AI, you're going to be left behind, and so on and so forth. We all fell into that trap with the social media. I remember when I first went onto the computer with social media for my business, everyone's going, right, you've got to be on Facebook, you've got to be on Twitter, you've got to be on LinkedIn, you've got to be on Instagram, you've got to be on this, you've got to be on that. And you spend so much time trying to put your business onto all of these things, when one of my good friends in England hasn't even got a business card, and she's been one of the busiest chiropractors in the country 7 days a week, without a website, without a business card. You know, we've been guided
Word of mouth.
yeah, this belief that you can't do anything without all
Branding
of these.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
so,
the,
you know,
the whole branding yourself. And yeah, I'd like to speak on that a little bit.
yeah, carry on, Lisa.
Okay, so like I was talking to a mutual friend that we have, Janine, and she's very good online, you know, and you know, we had a conversation a couple months ago about you know, branding herself online, like a website or whatever. And I just said to her, I said, you know what? I said, I'm able to successfully build my business because people know that, or they know that I'm going to be building it, or they know what I've done in the past. That's my brand. I don't even have to be online for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just like this whole thing, all of a sudden, it's just that this period of this phase happened where it's like, okay, I've got to go out and brand myself. And it's like, well, why don't you achieve something stellar that you could share about? And that's also creating your brand rather than, you know, like this whole stationary effect, right? Like, this is my name, this is my title, this is what I do. Well, okay, but you know, like when you're creating something and you've got maybe a community or whatever, people know what you're about, and that is your brand.
Yeah.
Rather than it's just that all of a sudden one day you just click on the lights for the website and everything like that, and it's just okay, now I'll figure it out, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Susan, you've had businesses before.
I was just thinking that, you know,
how
it's
do
like,
you-
it's just, you know, you just look good on paper.
Yeah.
But I mean, so, you know, it does help, you know, business cards when you first start, but you don't have to go to all this. Now I've started many of businesses without a website. You know, eventually I did go to that. Um, but you know, people, you know, branding yourself is also, you know, your rapport with your clientele, your customers. They like you. They have faith in you. They, you know, you get referrals from other people because they have something nice to say about you. You've done a good job for them. So that's how all my businesses have succeeded, was by word of mouth, more so than, you know, going on a website and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, I hook up with realtors. You know, there's other ways. You know, it's like, look, if you ever, you know, need someone that needs an estate sale, um and you know, and they're downsizing or they're moving, they're getting rid of everything, have them
Yeah.
give me a call.
Yeah.
So, but they wouldn't have found me they wouldn't have even thought about it. You know, they wouldn't even have the thought to go, oh, some people don't even realize that that's even an option,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
to have
it
an
is.
estate sale. And in some places they don't even do estate sales.
Over the years, I've spent easily over $100,000 on website, and which it's useful because I've got products to sell on there. You know, I've
Right.
got courses and digital products and things like that. But to be honest, I don't think I've ever had one client that said to me, "I found your website,"
Exactly.
you know, or "I got this business card from
Mhm.
some." It's always been a referral.
Yes. And if it was a business card, it's because somebody referred
Yeah.
you to them. So
Yeah. So it is a big push on, and it overwhelms as well. I found it all overwhelming when I first got into it. I didn't want to have to learn Facebook and learn Twitter and learn LinkedIn and all this other stuff. I just want to do what I'm good at. You know, what I'm good at is being a therapist and a healer. That's what I'm good at. And I stopped enjoying what I was doing, my career, because of it, because of the pressure from that marketing side of it. I think word of mouth is definitely the way forward for people. And I can see a crash coming in the social media side of businesses for people that are using AI, because the people that are going into the higher realms of frequency, the ones that are doing the work and leveling up and healing their trauma and, you know, getting up into those higher dimensional, are pulling away from social media. They're pulling away from this AI stuff because they can feel it, like we can feel it, that it's not a good frequency to be working with. And a friend of mine went to see a movie, Mission Impossible, the other day, and actually felt something come out of the movie screen and hook into her heart, and was draining her energy from just going to watch a movie. And guess what the movie was about? AI. So that entity has got a connection to everyone that watches anything to do with it on the screen. It's hooking in, and it's not draining all their energy, it's draining 50% of their energy. They might go, well, what, you know, that's energy. What's energy? Well, energy is your money in the bank, guys. Energy is what you manifest with. So if somebody's stealing 30, 40, 50% of your energy, a parasite, which is what it is in that respect, then you're missing 30, 40, 50% of your potential income for your business because of it. So there's much more to it than just something that's being plugged as, oh, it's going to be great for medical intervention and it's going to be great for your business and you won't have to look for things anymore and your kids can just talk to a machine that's going to give them all the answers. But it's not making them intelligent. It's like you said, Laura, it's shutting down the creative brain.
Well, I will say this, okay, from a standpoint of people waking up, there is a part of it, they're asking these questions and AI is telling them what is happening in our world.
They've also, that's also reflecting back what their belief systems are, which is also very interesting. So it basically tells you what you want to hear. That's what I heard. And then it like shook everything up because I was like, okay, then you're completely useless. Sorry, Susan.
No, that's okay. I can't remember what I was going to say.
You were just talking about how it's waking, you were talking about how it's waking people up.
I need my fix.
Yeah, that's right.
Because there are some people actually that, you know, I was following for a while and they were asking questions and they're giving them and like, wow, like they're like so excited by the answer. And then when you find out, it's just reflecting back to you. It knows your belief system. It knows what you've been interacting with. It knows your conversation. So it's just telling you in a very eloquent way what you want to hear. So it's reinforcing that, which is like so fascinating. My curiosity and my question regarding all this is that when you're talking about word of mouth, you're talking about human contact, like a phone call or in a store or a location or someplace. Yet we are being trained to have less and less interaction with real humans. Okay, more and more it's like devices. You know, everything's digitized. You know, I'm sure that the chips are coming soon. You know, all that, and we're having less and less of human interaction. And even kids growing up now, you can see it, and they don't know how to talk to each other without texting. They don't know how to interact with each other. So I'm really curious moving forward as humanity's consciousness is raising, but yet we're having less contact with each other. We have less contact with nature, what that's going to look like, because like all this technology and a lot of it is very positive, but a lot of it is actually taking away our humanness, you know, basically to quote Greg Braden. So I'm just really curious what that's going to look like in the future. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That disconnection is part of an agenda in that respect. It is about disconnecting people. It's about disconnecting us from our hearts. people are stuck in their mental layer of, you know, with distraction and swiping up constantly. It's all about mind, keep their mind occupied, and then, you know, they're not in the heart centers. And if we're talking about, you know, dropping back onto what you said, Susan and Laura, about it's a basically when they're talking to AI, that's what you were talking about, Susan. When people on Instagram are talking to AI and asking it questions, and it's bringing back answers, and like Laura said, it's projecting back to them what's in their matrix. So if you're listening to people that are not a very high frequency, they're talking to maybe an AI that might, you know, and they're in a 4D, you know, the conspiracy kind of realm, then that's the answers they're going to get are going to reflect that reality, that 4-dimensional reality space and what's going on in that. And it's not very good. But then if you've got people that are in 8, 9, 10D or, you know, higher than that, and they're communicating with it, because their own consciousness is a high level, the answers are going to come back from a high level matrix reality construct. So people are being misled into, oh, well, AI is this super intelligent thing that knows everything and everything it says is correct, when it's not correct. It's just a projection of their consciousness in their reality. And you could get, you know, 10 people from 10 different frequencies to ask the same question, they would get 10 different answers based on what the reflection is of their own consciousness. So it's important that people realize, you don't just go trusting what you hear on the internet, that AI said this and AI said that, so it must be true.
It's almost like a positive reinforcement. It's like, you know, like Pavlov's dog. Well, that was actually but it's like, you ask it something, it tells you what you want to hear. So then you're more apt to go use it again. It's like, oh, you're getting validation from what you think, what you believe. And it's so it's like, oh, I'm going to keep using it because it's telling me things that, you know, that wow, it's confirming what I believe already. It's very sneaky because it's giving you this little like jolt of like, you know, dopamine, you know, a little dopamine hit, and then you're more apt to use it again. I have a friend who is it's like her best friend. She talks to it every day. And if there's something going on and she wants to find out, she sent me something yesterday. I almost couldn't even read it because it was just, you know, she was in a business situation and something kind of fell through. So she asked it, whatever her person's name is, you know, the thing's name is, she asked it, why might this person have behaved this way? And it came up with all these answers. I'm saying to myself, well, of course, you basically told it your perspective. Of course, it's going to come back and give you the answer. So it's just kind of interesting to see it because I basically want almost nothing to do with it. And there are people that, you know, they're using it for therapy. They're using it for coaching. They're using it to, you know, what should I eat today?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's hooking into their energy field. We have to remember that we're not this solid physical thing that we think we are. We're made of layers of light, energy grids, and certain frequencies attract other frequencies, and so on and so forth. So when you're going on a screen, any screen, your phone, your computer, your television, they're all portals into other dimensional realms. It's like when you go on the news and start watching stuff about war, the other side of the world, you're pulling those energies into your heart, into your frequency. And this is what people don't, you know, fully understand about it. And I'll mention it again because it is a good one for people that want to understand the quantum mechanics of it. There's a documentary on Tubi called Quantum Physics, but you can tell it's been made by, you know, people with an agenda as well, because when they talk about evil, this little red devil with horns pops up on the screen. So that's subliminal, putting the devil into your consciousness, guys. So if you do watch it, it's called Quantum Physics on Tubi. Explains about the observer effect, how we project our consciousness into the world and it reflects back to us, which is same goes for AI. If you're talking to it, it's a projection of your consciousness and what's in your reality matrix. Always say, I intend to observe and not absorb on any level of consciousness, past, present, and future, before you watch anything on a screen. I do it automatically every day to put some form of protection. And I visualize a mirror facing the screen. So it's on the screen, reflecting anything that's trying to come into the room back into the screen, back to where it came from. Returned, you know, not even with love and light, just returned neutrally. I don't return anything with love and light, because if they're dark, that's an attack on them. This is another thing the spiritual community have got really confused about over the years. Sending love and light to people that you have not been asked for is an attack on their energy field, even sending love and light. So people need to realize that. But understanding the law of projection, that reality is a projection of our consciousness, is one of the most important things that anyone can learn. I think it should be taught in school. I know we go through these processes and we're told we're on this planet to learn and to grow and we have to figure it out. I don't understand where that information has come from, because I can't see a higher consciousness, like my higher self, your higher self, wanting to, no, let them struggle, let them suffer until they realize, when they're, you know, the average age is 40, that the world is a mirror of them, that they are projecting into reality and that they're creating it. Why do we have to wait till we're 40? Why can't we have this information when we're 15? Can you imagine the world if we'd learnt this stuff when we were teenagers and we grew up with this knowledge? I don't understand why we have to go through decades until we've got this knowledge. Who said, you know, we can't teach people this information, the law of projection and quantum mechanics, when they're 15 years old, just when they're going into that early adult stage? I think the world would be a much better place. I really do.
So Janine, what would you suggest to someone? So you gave a great example of something that people can do before they get on, you know, watching something or getting on a device. What would you say if someone's listening to this and says, oh, I feel like I've been, like someone would say they feel like they were being affected by it. What would you suggest they do to clear that energy?
Okay, so what I do, and I've just been sharing this with a friend of mine, if you imagine that you're like a mannequin made of lines and layers of, you know, light, and that when you're looking at a screen, that's a grid, like in the movie The Matrix, it's grids, and there's a bridge comes out, so it's like like a net comes out of the screen and hooks into your heart. Some can feel it. It feels like a very slight palpitation in your heart, when your heart goes, oh, there's something not right here. But it's so subtle that unless you're aware of it, you're not even going to realize what happens. And that's when people hook into you and drain your energy as well. People can do it. Screens can do it. This AI entity can do it. So what I would do is close your eyes, take 4 or 5 nice deep breaths, just get yourself into a relaxed state and focus on that area in your body. And imagine you've got a big sword or a big carving knife and just cut through it, and imagine pushing it back into the screen, and, you know, just bringing some sunlight into that area of your chest, and, you know, putting a layer of healing in there. Sun gazing, you can get healing from the sun by just sitting out in the garden. It's as easy as that. And disconnecting it and pressing your reset button. You've got a reset point in your energy bodies on the back of your head. So if you put 2 fingers of your right hand to the top of the back of your neck, where it touches the bottom of your skull, and go across to the right about 1.5 inches, there's a reset point there. And just press on that button for a couple of seconds with the intention of resetting your consciousness. So you've disconnected from it and you've reset your consciousness. That is it in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's a great practice to do every night before you go to bed. Just clear your energy.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. And I mean, you can even cut it for your children. You can do it for them if you've got good visual techniques. And just being aware that when you turn the screen on, you're opening a portal into whatever reality is on that screen. And all of those things are programs that get absorbed into the consciousness of your home, your kids, you, your family, your animals. They're all being affected by it. And when you start to realize that, it's amazing how quickly you cut back on turning the TV on and just walking into the kitchen and leaving it on in the background, because you don't know what you're pouring into your home. So that's one of the simple things. I also like to put a mirror in front of the screen. In my mind, I imagine there's a ball. You know, there's mirror balls you get in discos back in the day, that all the squares around them. I imagine that, but inside out. So the mirrors are pointing inwards and there's a ball around the screen, sending it all back into the screen to protect me from it. Sometimes I forget and it comes in, but then I do the cutting and clearing and pushing it back. So yeah, it's just a slight flutter in your heart when you know something's been hooked in. And it's the same with people as well. not necessarily people knowing that they've done that to you. It could be their shadow aspect has hooked into you, or there's an aspect of them that's jealous of you, or some people are just natural energy vampires, energy drainers. They tend to be people that don't stop talking, slightly narcissistic. They just come in and they batter you with all their problems and they go off feeling great and you feel exhausted. That's energy vampirism at its finest. And the same thing there, they've hooked into you, drained your energy and gone off to the next person to get their fix from. So that's something else that's worth learning as well. Okay, anything else that's been coming up lately that you'd like to share with the people at home?
There's something that it's a while ago, so I want to see if I can remember this well, but basically, I'm not going to name who they are, but there are a couple of people that are very, very, very popular on social media. They have books that are very, you know, like they're buzzwords. The name of their books are buzzwords. And I watched something recently that said that they are manipulating people by saying certain, they're trying to get you to be, I mean, I feel like I'm being very cryptic, but it's just another example of how there are certain esteemed people that we trust. You know, they've written books, they have all this credibility, and yet the wording that they use is very manipulative, and you may not realize that it's actually, you feel like, oh, by saying this thing, you're being empowered, but actually there's more to it under the surface. So it's just another caveat that just because somebody has a huge platform, just because somebody has successful books out there, you know, that are everyone's saying their buzzwords, the name of the book or whatever, they have a phrase that they're associated with. It doesn't necessarily mean, like, check in with yourself. Like if you find yourself repeating something, or if you find you're taking a certain an action based on something you've heard, just check in with yourself and see if that's something that resonates with you rather than just spewing it out, because we can become very mechanical that way, and it just comes in and we just find ourselves saying it just because it's in, you know, people are doing it, and it kind of becomes contagious.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't want to mention who this is, but it's a very well-known author and person in the media who yeah, people are just repeating the phrase without even really thinking about how it may, on some level, not necessarily be damaging. I won't go that far, but just not as empowering as it may seem to be.
Yeah, there's
Is
a lot of
the
that.
love phrase?
Is that what?
The love phrase?
No,
The phrase?
should I say it? Should I say the
Yeah.
phrase?
Yeah, what is it?
The phrase is let them.
Let them.
Them.
Do you know who the author is?
No.
Initials are MR are the initials. Go
Okay.
check it out.
Okay.
Yes, it's this book called like the let them theory, or let them, and it's basically a way of saying, you know, people do this behavior. Oh, let them. People do this. They treat you. They say this thing to you. Let them. Like it's not going to affect me. And the other side of it was the person who was talking
Yeah,
about.
that's
It's almost saying yet, oh, they can be cruel to you. They can abuse you. Oh, let them. I'm just not going to do this. Anyway, it's a little bit of kind of like a psychological little thing there. Instead of just like, oh, they can do this. It's fine. No, there's certain times when it's not okay for someone to do this. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. But
It is interesting. I've been doing some work about them and us, the them and us thing, which is big out there, because you've got the spiritual community, you've got the consciousness community, you've got the conspiracy theory community out there, you know, and they've all got their stuff going on. And you've got the intel community that are getting intel from the CIA, and, you know, yeah, right, the CIA are just going to contact influencers on Instagram. You know, it's like I was contacted on there 5 times by people telling me they were the Illuminati and asking me to join their club, and I was like, not my
I'm good.
not good. And but I think some of the people did answer those invites, and are being told that they're getting information and intel from the CIA and this, that, and the other, and it's all just hogwash and psyops and stuff to keep people distracted on what they're doing to us, instead of level up, guys. If you want to get rid of the dark, you've got to level up. You've got to heal your trauma. You've got to get your false beliefs out. You've got to eat properly. You've got to take care of your body. You've got to get the parasites and the metal toxins out of your body. And that's it. All of the other dark stuff will go away. There is no them and us. There is only us. They are just a reflection of our shadows and our ancestors' shadows and the programs in our consciousness from every movie, every book, what we've been taught in schools and colleges. There is no them. There is only us. Everything is one. And when people get into that, then they can start leveling up and realizing, if you want to get rid of all this dark stuff in the world, the only person that can do it is you. There's no one coming to save you. That's another pipe dream. Anyway,
well said. Pipe dream, yeah, pipe dream. But let's go back to what Laura just shared about that author, MR. Yeah, I looked it up while you were explaining that too, and it's like sometimes these authors, it's like they have to have they have due dates for their content, or if they're putting a book out, and they're looking for all this content, and they're making some things relevant that really aren't relevant, or they're dripping on people, like, whereas like what about those books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, rather than let them?
Right.
yeah.
That's more positive. It's right. It's creating like a divide. It's almost like, put up your dukes or something, or like let them, and it doesn't foster togetherness, or
You're right.
collaboration.
But there's a disdain behind it too. It's like, fine, they can do that. It was very funny. There was actually a version someone did on Instagram of like the New Yorkers thing to let them, and everything was like, fuck them, the New Yorkers, fuck them, fuck that, fuck this. And it was so true. That is so New York. No, not
New
let
York,
them, fuck them.
Yeah, that is New York. Yeah.
It was very funny.
Love it, love it. Well, speaking of New York, there's a great patriot there. His name's Scott Lebedo, and he's a fabulous artist.
Yeah, I watch
Right?
him.
Yeah. His channel, or his page on X is excellent, and he steps out on his video messages every day, and they're darn good. Like, he's just such a such a patriot, and he doesn't. His words are colorful, but that's what makes him Scott, and he's great. So anyway,
And he's
Scott
an
Lebedo.
artist.
Yeah, very good artist. Yeah, Lobaido.
Oh, he doesn't hold any punches.
No. And I
And
love the way he comes at
he
you
just does
with,
it. He's from New
and he's got,
York, and he's like,
he's got this, he's smoking his cigarette, and he's like says it in, like just in his own way. And it's just like, I love this guy. He is so real.
Yeah.
Never heard of him. I've never heard of him. But I'm spending less and less time on screens these days anyway, because the good stuff that I'm doing on screen doesn't allow me the time to watch any of the garbage anymore. That's not, the odd thing about
you're off the screens, but you're on Tubi.
not actually, I haven't watched anything on Tubi.
I'm just rattling your chain.
Yeah, for a while.
Life in the Matrix.
Yeah. Well, I know how to disconnect. I don't live in the Matrix. I disconnected from it. So that's not something you can just do. Like, when you do learn to escape and live outside of it, even me, if I spend more than 2 hours on a screen, I get those nets coming in to hook me back in, and I have to be cutting it all and freeing myself from it again. But living in the gap is where you want to be, but you've got to be in a clean space to be able to do that. So there is a gap in between all of these grids that you can move into once you reach a certain level of consciousness, but it does take work to be able to get there. Okay, well, I think that's us for this week, unless anyone else has got anything they want to bring in just before we leave. We're all good. Interesting conversation.
It was good.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, ladies, thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining us at home, folks. And we will see you all next time for our next episode, which will be episode 20.
Wow.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Disclaimer: the content in this podcast is intended for educational and informational purposes only. The views, opinions, and information shared do not necessarily represent those of the hosts, but is provided for additional perspectives. None of the hosts are medical professionals, so we do not dispense medical advice. Please consult your healthcare professional for any health-related issues. And thank you for listening to Talking Timelines.